On August 20th, 1966, a young boy was out hiking through the beautiful hills of Niterói, Brazil, when he stumbled upon something truly strange on the slope of Morro do Vintum. There, lying side by side and half buried in the tall grass, were two bodies. At first, he thought they were just a couple of sleeping men, but as he got closer, the scene morphed into something bizarre and downright terrifying. These men were dressed to the nines in formal suits, their raincoats neatly buttoned over them, looking almost like they were ready for a fancy event. But what really caught his eye were the odd, handmade lead masks covering their faces, the kind you wear to shield your eyes from intense light or radiation. It was unsettling, to say the least. They lay on their backs, arms crossed, with no signs of struggle or violence. Next to them, there was an empty water bottle, two damp towels, and a small notebook that held a single, cryptic note. It read, 1630B at the specified location. 1830 ingest capsules after effect protect metals await signal mask. What could it all mean? No one could make sense of it. The men were soon identified as Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana, two electronic technicians from the nearby town of Campos das Goitacazes, about 200 kilometers away. They were good friends, quiet and intelligent, the kind of guys who spent weekends tinkering with radios and gadgets, fascinated by science and electricity. On August 17th, 3 days before their bodies were found, they'd left home saying they needed to buy some electronic components for work. They took a large sum of money, about what would be a few hundred US today, and boarded a bus to Niterói. At 2:30 p.m., they arrived and went to a store where they bought waterproof raincoats. Later, at a nearby bar, a waitress remembered them well because they seemed tense, constantly checking the clock. They ordered a bottle of water, and one of them asked for the receipt, which seemed odd to her. They left in a hurry, saying they had somewhere important to be by 4:30. That was the last time they were seen alive. 3 days later, their bodies were discovered exactly where they had written, at the specified location. But everything else, the masks, the capsules, the message, defied explanation. Investigators initially thought it might be a suicide pact, but there was no evidence of poison or drug overdose in their stomachs. In fact, by the time their bodies were found, decomposition had gone too far for accurate toxicology. No one knew if they'd even taken the capsules the note mentioned. And those lead masks, they were crudely made, likely by hand. Thick slabs of industrial lead cut into the shape of sunglasses, designed to block out bright light. Not radiation, but something intensely luminous. But luminous what? Here's where the story begins to twist into the strange. Friends and family told police that both men were deeply interested in UFOs and the paranormal. They had been part of a small, informal circle of amateur scientists who believed they could make contact with alien entities using radio waves. Weeks before their deaths, Manuel and Miguel had spoken excitedly about building a spiritual machine to communicate with beings of light. They claimed they'd even experienced a blinding flash of light during an earlier experiment, something they took as a sign. So when police found that cryptic note, ingest capsules after effect protect metals await signal mask, some began to wonder if they had believed they were preparing for another encounter. Perhaps the capsules were meant to calm them, the masks to protect their eyes from whatever they expected to see. The working theory became this: the two men went up the hill to witness or contact something extraordinary. A UFO, a divine manifestation, something they truly believed in, and died waiting for it. But there's another theory, darker and far less mystical. Several witnesses came forward saying they'd seen the men with a third person in the area that day. Some said it was a tall man in white, others claimed it was a stranger who seemed to lead them up the hill. Police could never find that person. What if they had been tricked? Brazil in the 1960s was a place bubbling with spiritualism and pseudoscience. Mediums, cults, and esoteric scientific groups claimed to channel spirits through electric currents and hypnotic trances. Some people think Manuel and Miguel were lured by someone promising an experiment or a revelation, told to wear masks, take pills, and wait, only to be poisoned or manipulated into their deaths. But again, no clear signs of poison, no injuries, no struggle. They simply lay down and never got up. The notebook remains the most haunting clue. Its handwriting matched Miguel's, and several other entries inside contained complex measurements, voltage notations, and mysterious symbols. The phrase protect metals might have referred to shielding themselves or their equipment from radiation, or something more abstract like protecting their own bodies. Even the towels have sparked endless debates, right? I mean, why on earth would you bring towels to a mountaintop in the dead of winter? Some folks think they were meant to cover their faces during some kind of light experiment. Others believe they had a deeper meaning, maybe a ritual item for purification or protection. And get this, in the days following their deaths, locals were buzzing about these bizarre orange lights flickering over the hill that very weekend. Dozens of residents claimed they spotted a glowing object just hovering in the clouds, silent one moment, then poof, gone in seconds. Can you imagine witnessing that? It's just so mysterious and kind of eerie, right? Officially, the case was ruled as death by unknown causes, but honestly, who really believes that? There's just too much weirdness surrounding it all to accept that as the final word. What do you think happened? Years later, journalists revisited the story and found that another technician from their same circle had died months earlier under equally mysterious circumstances, also after reportedly attempting psychic contact. That discovery only deepened the mystery. Some modern investigators think it was carbon monoxide poisoning. Maybe they tried to create a chemical reaction and accidentally killed themselves. Others think they were killed by smugglers or experimenters who used them as test subjects, but no evidence ever proved any of it. What remains are two friends lying side by side, dressed as if for a funeral, covered by lead masks that seem to hide not just their eyes, but the truth. It's such a haunting image, right? You can't help but wonder what they were thinking in those final moments. To this day, no one knows who told them to go there, what the signal was they were waiting for, or what they believed they would see at 6:30 that evening on that lonely Brazilian hillside. It's like a scene straight out of a mystery novel. Were they waiting for a UFO or something else entirely? All that's certain is that whatever they expected to happen did. And it killed them, leaving behind a chilling mystery that still haunts the hills. Some nights, hikers in Niterói say they still see a faint glow at the top of Morro do Ventum, as if just small lights flicker briefly in the mist, then vanish almost like a farewell. Isn't that just eerie? Just like the men who went up the hill, wearing those strange lead masks, waiting for the sky to open, hoping for something extraordinary that never came. What do you think happened up there? It's a puzzle that keeps us all guessing.